Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Spirit Island, Jagged Earth here, where we are trying this again, a couple of new spirits and a slightly higher difficulty level this time. And when I say slightly, I mean tremendously. I might have really overdone it. This could be an embarrassingly quick loss. So, for today's game, for this episode's game, the part of the yellow pieces will be played by the Lure of Deep Wilderness. Most early Dahan settlements clustered along the coasts, but from time to time a handful of residents would get a distant look in their eyes and stride off into the heart of the island, no pleading or reason dissuading them from seeking some distant call only they could hear. So the idea is, you can see there's a little bit of like a plant version of an anglerfish happening in that art. There's something in the deep wilderness that calls people forward. We can hope that this will have a less pleasant effect on the invaders than it had on the Dahan. The playstyle is very focused on the interior. It doesn't really have the ability to do things in the coastal parts of the island. And you can see even down to the point that its presence can only exist in lands that are inland. Now, I do want to say, with the way the island is set up for two players, this presents a little bit of a conceptualization challenge, because the inland parts of the island are here and here, while the coasts are kind of like... It's hard to imagine what this would look like if we were to draw in the rest of the map around it, but you know what? In the times of the Great Colonial Expansion, lots of things got called islands that turned out not to be islands, and we're just going to assume some mistakes have been made on the part of our colonizers with their terminology, and also, even if this is some kind of like weird Mobius strip landmass, that would only be like the third most magical thing about it, so it's fine. And helping him out, hopefully helping to clean up the coasts, we have the Finder of Paths Unseen. It traverses the island with ease, and most spirit speakers have met it at least once or twice. It communicates more straightforwardly than most spirits, layering thought sendings over its high-pitched trills, and it or its assistants sometimes help the soul forms of dead Dahan move swiftly on, eluding those spirits that seek to devour them. Yeah, we're not all pleasant hummingbirds here. So this one's all about moving things. Not just the invaders, but basically any living being. And I figured that would be a really good fit. We have two different spirits that are helping to draw the invaders deep into the forest, where hopefully they will get lost forever. Now you might notice that this spirit has a kind of an unusual looking board. Instead of having two presence tracks, we have this weird presence web. Anytime that you are instructed to add presence, you can take it from any node that is adjacent to any uncovered node. And some of them have some pretty weird stuff on them, like +1 range on the range of all abilities. A bunch of different symbols over here at the end. Obviously, the ones that are deeper in the web are a little bit better. But I thought this looked really cool. I'm actually really eager to play this one. I'm also sure that we're not going to do an optimal job the first time. So I don't know, maybe playing these higher complexity spirits at the same time as kicking it up to difficulty 6 was a bad idea. I guess we're going to find out. So today we're up against the Kingdom of England. This is level 3 Kingdom of England. So the first thing you should note is in the upper left there we have an additional loss condition. If there is ever a land that has 7 or more towns and cities in it, the invaders win. That's a land, not a board. It could totally happen with England's rules. When we hit the escalation, we're just going to keep building buildings in whatever land has the most buildings. And you notice that the number of cards in the fear deck has also changed. There are 4 cards before the terror level rises to 2, then 5 more cards before it raises to 3. So even if these spirits were as good at generating fear as the last ones, a fear victory would be considerably harder. Also, I don't think it's really on the table here. But the most important things we should notice here are the game effects of level 1. Invader build actions affect lands without invaders if they're at least adjacent to 2 buildings before the build action, so keeping the explorers out of places is not necessarily going to prevent them from building up towns. And there's this special high immigration tile over top of the discard pile. At the beginning of the game, at the beginning of the Invader phase, or like right before the Ravage step in the Invader phase, the Invaders get an extra build action. It'll only happen the first couple of turns, but it's going to mean there's a ton of buildings on the board very, very quickly. I don't know. I don't know if we are really prepared for this. So our initial build out here was jungle. Our initial explore was jungle, so that's what we will be building in on the first turn. And you can see it's like a pretty grim situation. They started with some extra buildings on the board as well. We're going to have to get our stuff together a little bit more quickly. And also I think we're going to have some minor problems with like having to get some yellow pieces over to the inland areas here. They don't connect super cleanly. There's like a path of inland lands that goes like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm confident that we can last easily 2, maybe 3 turns here. Alright, so let's start with Lure of the Deep Wilderness. Let's get into our first growth phase. So we have kind of an unusual growth step with you. We pick one of these 2 things and then one of these 2 things for our growth. Obviously, we don't need to reclaim any cards, and also I would love to get some presence on the table. So on this side, we're going to add a presence to an inland land at a range of 4. My feeling is that you usually want to get more card plays going right away, but I'm noticing we don't actually have a ton of free cards. I guess we have gain energy on both sides of our growth, so it's not that hard necessarily to power a bunch of stuff. Maybe we should take the extra card draw. And then there's, you can see moon, plant, and air elements here, and an animal element there. If we look at the innate powers real quickly, well, first of all, enthrall the foreign explorers. For each of your presence in a land, ignore up to 2 explorers except during build. Basically, like, for ravage purposes, ignore up to 2 explorers. And then this is all about, like, replacing buildings with explorers, and then after replacing pieces with explorers, you can gather any number of them into your lands. So we're breaking the enemies down into weaker pieces and then drawing them forward, and then once they are drawn forward, they are never heard from again. If this power destroys any explorers, get some fear, and it just like it adds bad lands and then it destroys stuff. It does small amounts of damage. So we break them down to small pieces, bring them forward, and then devour them quickly. With that in mind, it really feels like we want to try to get a bunch of plant symbols going quickly, because I would love to be able to throw badlands all over the place. So let's go ahead and grab an extra card play, and then we might go along the energy track from then on. We'll take this one first. So, range 4, but we can only place it in an inland land. If we... So 1, 2, 3, 4. We could actually get this one pretty deep, and I think we probably should. I think we should try to get to that opposite corner so that we have presence in the deepest corners of the map as quickly as possible. And then for the other side, do we want to temporarily have an extra symbol, or do we want to gain another power? We're only going to have 1 energy to work with if I don't take the symbol plus energy thing. Let's see, we could start by generating just some fear. I mean, this is great, but obviously it's not going to do a lot of damage early in the game. Target spirit chooses to either add a wilds token to one of their lands, which prevents exploration in that land once, or replace one of their presence with a disease. That's a tall order, man. Losing presence is harsh. But so we're probably going to end up doing this, so we're going to get to throw some wilds out, and then... Yeah, I think I'm okay with not getting extra energy on the first turn. We could try to beckon people out of that jungle. No, alright, let's on this side gain a power card. Let's expand our options a little bit. So we'll go for a minor, of course, here on the first turn. I could see taking a major power card to give you something to build toward. A little bit of direction. We want green, right? And then also, so we use white and purple to draw people forward, and then green and orange to devour them. Green and orange and red a little bit. White, purple, green, orange, red are all good for us. Swarming Wasps gives us a beast token. We do care about tokens quite a lot. Also lets us push people. Its value will get lowered by a little bit later in the game, because as stuff becomes blighted, it will become less versatile, but at that point you could just forget it, right? There's certainly something to be said for Drift Down into Slumber, just like having access to a potential Defend 4 early in the game, especially since we know that jungles are going to be an early ravage. I think I might take this. It having both purple and green on it gives it some versatility in our plan. This gives Defend 4 on any, or each invader added to target land this turn may immediately be pushed to an adjacent land. I think I'm going to take Drift Down into Slumber. I like the any targeting at range 2 gives us some versatility that I think this guy's powers are generally going to lack. And, like I said, early Defend 4 on a jungle is going to be real good for us. So congratulations on that. And then we gain gain an energy, and we got to figure out what we want to play. So we're not going to be able to hit any of our... Well, we're going to be able to hit the middle part of Never Heard From Again. It's a little weird. A lot of these elemental thresholds are written in such a way that it seems like powers are always escalating, but actually these are just lines that are executed sequentially. So this one has a second line that requires fewer symbols than the first line, but that's just... They're still executed sequentially. You can still do this thing even if you didn't hit that thing. So we're definitely going to hit 2 green, because we're not playing Softly Beckon Ever Inward. I think we probably want to save Drift Down into Slumber until next turn when we have a better idea what we're doing. It would probably be a good idea to play like green-white this turn. Perils at the Deepest Island lets us set up some tokens, give us a little fear. Gift of the Untamed Wild gives us that Wilds token, like I'm saying, and then because we have 2 white, we can do replace a man with a man, which seems a little silly unless you read the rest of this, where it says when this power replaces stuff with man, gather some of those dudes into your lands. I think that is in fact what we're going to do. We're going to play this and this. Okay, that's your spirit phase. Finder of Paths Unseen. Your thing is a little bit more complicated. So, when we reclaim cards, we can completely ignore ranges. That's pretty neat. I think we probably, looking at our 6 starting cards, we probably are okay without the +2 energy. So yeah, I think I'd like to take this middle option here. Let's grab a power card and add a presence. Which presence do we want to add? What are we trying most to build toward? We actually got to start with 2 card plays, which is cool, and while I'd love to get 3 card plays, we don't have to do that by coming through the card plays path down here. I think we probably want to move this presence, and if we want to gain card plays, we do it by going like that or something. So add a presence within 1 range of existing presence. Well, feels like fanning out into the rest of the board is the smart move. So like the question is, do I want to become adjacent to this space or this space more? I think the answer is the latter. Oh, actually, you know what? 5's not adjacent to 2. We should really be adjacent to 2. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen there at some point. A lot's going to come down to... a lot of how this board over here develops is going to come down to when we draw our first wetland card. Alright, and then we gain a power, and I'm going to gain a minor here for the same reason as I did on the other side. Gift of Power just gives someone a minor. That's interesting. Hold on a second. What are my thresholds? We should actually read this stuff. So many of your powers move beings. Beings are invaders, Dahan, presence, and beast tokens. After one of your powers destroys one or more Dahan or invaders, or triggers their destruction by moving them, destroy one of your presence. The Finder of Paths Unseen takes the preservation of life pretty seriously. It's not my problem if the forest eats them, but I'm not allowed to eat them. As often as desired, pay 1 energy to choose 2 of your lands. For the rest of this turn, they are adjacent whenever you wish. That seems pretty alright. Lay paths they cannot help but walk. Move one being from one of your lands to another one of your lands. Okay, so we have teleportation. I mean, I guess, again, with the island being apparently discontinuous, this sort of makes sense. Move one being from one of your lands. Okay, so it's just a bunch of different lines of this that you can trigger. You get more the effect more times if you have more threshold. Isolate two adjacent lands. One of them must have your presence. So what isolate means, there's a quick definition on the bottom left corner of the front of this, but basically what isolation means is a land that is isolated is not considered to be adjacent to any other land by the invaders, and they cannot take explore actions in isolated lands even if they have a building in the land and they would just be exploring from the building. It's magic, okay? It's too magical for them. So we have a need for purple and white and blue and yellow and gray. So we actually have pretty versatile colors. So you can gather a Dahan. If the terror level is 2 or lower, gather a town, and the first ravage in target land this turn becomes a build instead. That's interesting. So we have the Dahan and the colonizers make friends a little bit. That, I think, is probably a card that's pretty broadly useful, but I'm worried about doing it with England because we really don't want to help them build up any more buildings than they already have. Fear and defense, and again, like a jungle defend card, is definitely interesting to us. Fear, add a beast token, potentially destroy... good card, not so much for us, though. We do not want to be destroying things personally. I think I'm going to take Dark and Tangled Woods. Just some, like, fast speed defend stuff, right? Okay. And then we get no energy. And we get to play 2 cards that are for 2 cards that are for free. 2 of our free cards here. We have... Move up to 2 beings from target land to a land within 2 range that has the same terrain type. That's interesting. Move up to 2 beings to a land on the same board equally far from the ocean. Or move up to 2 beings to the next higher numbered land on the same board. We actually have to pay a lot more attention to some aspects of the land that I'm not used to noting. Like, in particular, the numbers are going to matter, apparently. What do we need to do? We're going to need to break up builds in the jungle, ideally. Or we're going to want to intentionally send jungle builders inland further. So we could use the relocate things within the same terrain type. Try to group up some of the buildings into that deep jungle and then see if we can't burn them down with some of the lure trickery. To the next highest numbered land, the next higher numbered land on the same board. So what is that in practice? What does that mean? Stuff would move from like here to there. Are the lands usually sequential? 100% it looks like. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, there's sort of a flow to it at least. Higher numbered lands are more inland, but not like super neatly more inland. Weird, man. This is real strange. I kind of like that, higher numbered one, though. A circuitous and winding trail will throw some people on. We're going to have a lot of movement available to us. And then I'm going to do this as well. We're just going to move a lot of people around. So in terms of setting off our powers, we have 2 purple, 1 blue for the top level of lay paths. That's it on this one. Okay. And remember, when it says your lands, it means a land in which you have presence. Which is, yeah, that's alright. We have some range on that. Okay, let's go to the fast phase. You have nothing to do. This is not a fast phase character over here. And actually, we don't have a lot to do here either. Move one being from one of your lands to another one of your lands. Can we prevent any jungle builds by doing this? No, we cannot. In fact, we can't really do anything with it. I could shift a Dahan over or something. Doesn't feel super relevant. I guess if I shift a Dahan over to here and then we move something from 3 to the next higher numbered land, we've moved it inward and also put it in a place where maybe it gets fought later. Again, if the Dahan kill stuff, not my fault, don't have to feel bad about that. And that's it. That's our whole fast phase. This is going to be a weirder game. It's going to maybe a high difficulty for learning how to play a spirit that is this relatively complex. Alright, so Invader phase. You know what time it is. Let's see an event. Rising interest in the land. Your island is unlike any the invaders have seen. Boy, ain't that the truth. Their leaders begin to take interest in tales of strangeness. You may ignore their curiosity. Return the top card of the Invader deck to the box. On each board, add a town to a land with that one. Remember, the cards coming off of the Invader deck is real bad for us. It accelerates the rate at which we see the more dangerous cards, and it also shortens our win timer. Or shortens the loss timer, rather. Or we may weave lies in the minds of their observers. To do this would cost 4 energy per player, but it is aided by purple. Alright, hold on a second. I don't remember exactly what aided by purple means. In general, what it means is we can use cards that have the purple symbol on them to lower that 4 energy per spirit cost. Here we go. Spirits may forget one or more power cards with that element to count +4 energy toward the cost per forgotten card, may discard cards with that element to count +2 energy toward the cost per card, and also count +1 energy toward the cost for each of that element they have in play already. So 3, okay. We have 3 points on that cost already. If we do that, we return the top fear card to the box, so we shrink the fear deck. And during the next normal ravage, unfortunately, due to their fear, each town and city will do +1 damage. It's a concern. And then after that, what's going to happen? Let's make sure we have all the information here. We're going to add some beasts to some jungles, and then we're going to add some wilds tokens. So good. We need tokens. The lure likes to have tokens around. How many purple cards do we know? I mean, you really like purples, so we could just discard a bunch of purple cards. It's probably the way we're going here. I think we really need to pay this cost. You could also discard some stuff. But your reclaim action comes at the cost of getting to play presence, and I really don't think we can afford that right now. So you are probably not doing anything. Between the two of us, we have a total of 0 energy. So we need to make up 5 points of payment here. That could be 3 discards or 1 forget and 1 discard. To be perfectly honest, I think we could probably afford to forget a card with Finder. To a land on the same board equally far from that board's ocean. It's like we can move stuff from 4 to 1, or from 5 to 7, or 5 to 6, or from 7 to 8. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that card's all that valuable. If we lose this, are we losing any, uniquely valuable symbols or anything? No, not really. Our cards are all sort of awash in the same symbols. Yeah, alright, we're gonna permanently forget that guy for 4 points toward the event, and then, we'll discard aid from the spirit speakers, because we don't really have a lot of access to energy anyway for the moment. That'll give us 6, and then we get the rest of it from the 3 symbols we have out. Okay. So return the top fear card to the box. Just get that out of there. I'm going to move this card down here near the ravage so that we remember. Here we go, like that. So that we remember during the next ravage, extra damage. Alright, now add a beast token on each board. Add a beast token to a jungle that is not blighted. And we get to choose if there are multiples. And if the beast token has or if the jungle has invaders in it, get a fear. So we're gonna go, I think, beast token, and there's one here already, but let's throw another one in. I don't want to put it here, even though this doesn't have one yet, just because I know that we want to stack up a number of tokens in one place for some of the lure's abilities. And both of those generated a fear. And then on each board, add a wilds to a land that has Dahan. We have no idea what's coming up with explorers, so like where would we like them to not explore to, ideally? Well, if they were to draw sands, we would have a pretty serious problem over here. So maybe putting down a wilds token there, first of all, gives us a place to draw enemies to crush them with lure powers, and secondly, prevents this from becoming two problems at the same time, I guess. And then over here, again, I would prefer to drop them inland. Over here, it's not as obvious, like, what would be a problem. I don't know, here, I guess, the place that doesn't have any Dahan to play defense. Okay, and then no ravage on the first turn, of course. We do a build in the jungles. So, first of all, obviously, city comes down here. Remember, the rules for the build are, if there are more towns than cities, a city is built. Otherwise, a town is built. So here where it's 0-0, a town is built. Here where it's 0-0, a town is built. Here where there are actually more cities, a town is built. And nothing extra, right? Yeah, to clarify what indentured servants earn land means, you still only build in lands of the type on the build card. It's just that there doesn't necessarily have to already be anything there. So if there had been no explorer in this tile, we still would have built here because it's adjacent to multiple other buildings. Okay. And then the explore action, which hopefully is sand. How bad is that? I mean, it's not great. So obviously this all happens, and then here, no explore, and this is removed. I guess it doesn't actually make that big of a difference because there's still going to be a build here because of all of the surrounding buildings. We're going to have a hard time creating safe zones. That said, last game we got out without basically ever having any safe zones, so who knows, maybe we could do that again. Alright, so we have 2 abilities to move beings around at a range of 1 from the red presence. We're not actually going to do any movement yet, I just want to make sure that we have that in mind while we're looking at this. So, Perils of the Deepest Island. 1 fear, add a Badlands, then add a beast within 1, then push up to 2 Dahan. Where do we want to do that? I mean, there's certainly something to be said for adding a Badland here, and then trying to gear up for Never Heard From Again. Destroy up to 2... We do have 2 green. Yes, we do get to do this as well. Destroy up to 2 explorers per token in a particular land. Obviously here we're just gonna munch up some explorers. I don't know if that is 0 range, so that's the only place we can do it, right? Yeah, it's the only place where there's yellow presence and also tokens and also enemies. But we could move some beast tokens around if it seems like it makes sense to do it. We can also move some yellow presence. Remember, presence tokens are beings. Obviously, you always got to be real careful with stuff like that. But what if we moved... What if we moved this presence disc to here? Do we have... Okay, we have replace a town with 2 explorers. Yeah, 2 white, 1 purple. We could turn this or this into 2 explorers. We could make one of these not really ravageable. I think I'm going to tend to leave explorers, I think, where there are Dahan, because as we've seen, sometimes the event deck deals Dahan just like random points of defense. And then, of course, the Dahan can also retaliate. So let's say we do this. Or we could do it over here. We could draw them away from the coast, since in theory we will have an easier time dealing with people who are already inland. Yeah, let's aim it this way. So let's grab those guys. We're going to go... Forsake society to chase after dreams. So after this power replaces pieces with explorers, gather any number of those explorers into your lands, and if the target land has any buildings remaining, do a fear, because the people who are left behind are terrified by the way everybody just wandered off into the jungle. Alright, so we're going to do replace an explorer with an explorer, then... oh, it's an instead. We only get to do one of them. Okay, we're going to do the middle, the second line then. If we get to 4 purples, we can start doing repeats of the power, which is pretty cool. Oh wait, we also have a red. I accidentally set us up... Oh no, you have to get to 3 white and 2 purple for that, for the city line. Okay, so we're going to do a town becomes 2 explorers right here. And then those explorers get drawn forth into our lands. And that causes a fear, because the people of the city are terrified by the thing that has transpired here. Who would just walk under their own power? It's madness, I tell you. And then here, we could potentially do some destruction. I think we want to do the destruction over here. So we'll just pop that guy. We could have, I suppose, turned this into 2 explorers and then killed all 3 of those explorers. But that doesn't prevent this from being a ravage problem, so I didn't figure that that was a primary concern. Yeah. And then, fear Badlands, also a beast nearby. Where do we want to do that? I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Badlands token here. So we'll target this. I gotta grab the Badlands bag, because we're going to need it this game for sure. Down a Badlands token, generate a fear. What is the flavor on this? Ah, fear because of Giant Snake. Got it, makes sense. Add a beast within 1 range. We probably don't need the beast to be right there, so we'll add it over here, maybe? Or maybe we want to put it a little bit more central so that the other spirit has better access to it, because it is a living being and is thus manipulable. Yeah, we'll do that. Beast within 1 range. Push up to 2 Dahan. There are no Dahan in the target. Okay. Then target spirit either adds a wilds to one of their lands, or does a thing that they're definitely not going to do. Let's add a wild to someone's lands. Is it any other spirit? No, it is any spirit, so I can target yellow can target yellow with it if we want. I think that's a good idea. Let's do it right there. Yellow targets yellow, and then a wilds token gets placed, because we're going to crunch those guys up at some point. Alright, and I think that's all of our slow powers. We didn't do either of these. So, within 1 range of our presence, we want to move some people out of some jungles. Fortunately, we don't have access to those guys or those guys, except beings... Yeah, presence from any spirit. So I could use one of these powers to move my own presence closer to that jungle. One of the danger jungles. Right, I could target my own presence here, move it to 6, and then move these guys from 1 to 2. And it says invaders, so I can move cities. Man, that's wild. For rules clarity, all of these things are invaders. That seems really powerful. Okay. Also move one being from one of my lands to another one of my lands. We have this threshold. Or no, sorry, that was a thing we already did. That was fast phase. Oh, I also have to remember we have plus range on everything. So this is actually, all of these are at 2 range. So then we don't have to move our presence then. We can just grab that, move up to 2 beings from target land to a land within 2 that has the same terrain. Now we don't want to do same terrain. So yeah, let's just do this on those guys at the top. So move up to 2 beings to the next highest numbered land on that board. And it's going to be this being and that being. That prevents one of the ravages. And then we could move... Let's see, we could move these guys to here. Just consolidate, because we can, no matter how much damage the enemy does, they can only cause 1 blight per turn. So just consolidate it and let the rest of the damage go away. I honestly think that might be the move. It's within 2 range that has the same terrain. Except that we have +1 range on everything, so 3 range. Which makes this okay. Yeah. I think that's what we'll do. We'll just consolidate real big here. And then over time, we can break these guys down. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get an event that's like the beasts go crazy and kill everybody. Okay, well, I think we minimized the damage, the incoming damage. And that is slow phase, so now we are time passes. Just a stack, there we go. Yeah, I might not be doing the smartest possible strategic path here. Hey, we got the same quote again. I don't actually know how many of those there are. We might see the same ones a bunch. Okay, so new growth phase. We are going to have a jungle ravage followed by a sand build. And remember, when this card moves out of ravage, it's going to move into this other build slot. And next turn, it's going to be jungle build, sand ravage, something else build. So it's going to be buildings. There's going to be a lot of buildings. Okay, do we need to reclaim? First thing to always check. I think the answer to that is no. When invaders ravage, up to 2 Dahan in target land take no damage. After they ravage, move up to 2 Dahan to lands within 1 territory, or within 1 range. Except actually 2 range, because +1 range on everything. You get +1 range with your powers, move up to 4 of your presence to lands where target spirit has presence. Target spirit gets +1 range with their powers. Okay, wow. Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of a problem here. Like, I think Finder of Paths Unseen is maybe a spirit you really want to be playing alone, because you just have a lot of thinking to do. I have too many concerns to make sure that I'm reshuffling the island in the most efficient way here. And then, of course, we have our Dark Entangled Woods, so we're going to have to make some use of some of this stuff. Right now we're looking at a 3-point Ravage here, which we can defend with either of the jungle defense cards that we took. Right, we're looking at an 8-point Ravage here, which is going to be real tricky to get through. Not really anything that we're likely to be able to do about it. I suppose, actually, we have 7 points of jungle defense, don't we? But we can also do Swallowed by the Wilderness. We have 3 tokens in this area, so we can do 3 damage, and then also... Yeah, alright, I think we know exactly what we're doing with this guy this turn. So we need to advance our presence a little bit more. We do not need to reclaim cards. Let's go ahead and drop that inland at a range of 4. My impression of this is that we probably want to put it on the northern half of the island. I'm going to say here. So we have multiple places to draw enemies toward. Then with the second half of this, so if we know we're going to play these guys, that gives us element thresholds this turn of... We do have an orange, we have no white, so we can't do any forsakes. But if we were to take the energy instead of gaining a power here, we could gain a green for the purpose of this turn, throw down an extra Badlands token before the end of things. I think I kind of like that idea, and then we have the energy next turn to take advantage of the fact that we're going to do... I mean, we don't really need the energy, because we're going to have 2 energy income now, plus another gain energy next turn when we play Reclaim, which we will do. Yeah, we don't really need the energy, but I think I still want to do this. So we're going to gain plant and also 2 energy. We're going to get our income for the turn, and then we're going to pay the cost of the cards we've decided we want to play. Okay. And over here on your side, we don't think we want to do a Reclaim. Pretty sure we're playing this with one of our 2 plays. This might be an okay time to gain another power. Gotta do this guy. Oh, I still have no energy income. Well, that's alright. We could just do this. Uncover that, or uncover this one. Have 1 income per turn and also an heir. You know, we do need purples. But right now, 1 income doesn't even cover us. So we'd have to, like, gain power card fishing for a 0 in order to actually be able to play 2 things this turn. Or we could just take this and be able to play 2 cards. But if I don't take this, then it's kind of awkward for me to get to the moon. I'm gonna use this presence. We're gonna play this growth action, and we're just gonna try to fish for a 0 cost action to play this turn when we gain the power card. So let's go ahead and do the gain power card part of it before we place the presence. Have an interesting 0. We didn't draw even a single 0. That's a shame. Alright, what do we have? Each Dahan deals 1 damage to a different invader or push 3 Dahan. 2 damage and push an explorer, but that's like very awkward to actually fire. It has to be within 1 range of a sacred site in a non-blighted territory. Push guys or generate fear. Destroy 3 towns. Oh, right. It's kind of, what kind of minor power destroys 3 towns, but 1 that generates blight? Sure, that makes sense. Alright, I'm going to take this for right now, but I think there's a real good chance that we just selected a card for the purpose of forgetting it in favor of gaining a major later. And I'm going to grab this and put it down here, just so that the counter remembers that we have a... I don't know why it doesn't... I guess it must not be easy to program it to recognize that we've taken the counter off of this. So, where are we going to put this? Within 1 range of existing presence, but remember that actually means 2. Where do we need to expand out into? How much 0 cost or 0 distance stuff do we have? We have this thing, which requires our presence to actually be in the teleporter areas, the areas we want to teleport things between. And aside from that, mostly 2 range. So we really just want to put this on a place I'd like to be able to use for teleportation. I'm going to put it here, I think. That way we can bounce people to the inland desert if we need to, or out of the inland desert away from the blight if we need to. Or I think that makes sense. Alright, and then we'll get our energy income for the turn, and we will sadly only get to play 1 card this turn. I thought odds were pretty good that we would get at least 1 0. Okay, pretty sure we gotta play that thing. Well, let's actually execute our fast phase. You are going to play a defend 3 effect on this spot right here. Also generates 2 fear. And you are going to swallow stuff by wilderness. Hold on a second. My fast movement, only moves stuff between my territories, so I can't port any extra tokens in for you to take advantage of. So we'll not worry about that for right now. We don't get to fire this. Yeah, I guess we're just going straight to this. Okay, so 2 more fear. We did it. We got one. And we do 3 damage right here, which I think is pretty obviously kill that city. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, because of the Badlands... the text on this Badlands thing is a little wrong. I think I understand why it's like that. The way it's written in the blog post that they wrote explaining the new Badlands mechanic is a little bit weird, and I see how this misinterpretation arises from what they wrote. But actually what we want to do is 1 damage to a town and 2 damage to a city. And then the Badlands token kills them both, right? Yeah. So that will give us another 3 fear, actually. Which is pretty awesome. And now, this is only 3 incoming damage. And we defend 4 in this space. Okay, cool. That's pretty successful. Well done, me. Alright, so I think that's fast phase. Let's move into the thing. No Blighted Island card yet. It is event time. Oh, I forgot about this. I moved this over here so I wouldn't forget about it. Plus 1 damage just from buildings, though. Which means here it's going to be a total of 4 damage. We have a defend 3, so we're still fine. And here it's 4 damage. We have a defend 4. We're still fine. Okay. Never mind. Everything's cool. Putting down roots. On an inland land on each board, replace 1 explorer with a town. Where do we want to do that? Gonna have sand builds and ravages soon, so preferably not in sand. If I did it here, we would take 6 damage, which would actually cause a blight. We don't want to do that. I mean, here it's easy enough. I think it's that, right? On this board, I think it's here. That sucks, but I think this is the place where it's easiest to deal with it. Because the only options we have are this jungle where it's really bad, or the 2 sand spaces where it's just pretty bad. And then Stricken. Invaders do not perform Ravage in lands with disease or strife. And also, each player may push 1 explorer or town from a land with Dahan in it. We probably do want to do that. Like here is a great example. We could push this out to there, and then the tokens can maybe deal with it. And where's the next place where we want to do that? I'm fine with these actually staying here. Maybe we push this town somewhere? Like, there aren't actually... This is the only other legal push. This is the only other town that's in a space with Dahan. So where would we put it? I kind of want it there. I don't know that we need to move it. I mean, we can move it to here and it probably doesn't make a big difference. Yeah, let's do that. Again, just like grouping stuff up. Sorry, that's not what I want. This is what I want. Yeah, we could have just chosen not to do a push there. Nah, we just don't bother. It's in a good controlled place already. Okay, then we get our fear card. Please be a good one. Each player removes 1 explorer or village from a land with disease. Well, I think that's pretty easy. Cool. Then the ugly parts start. So we can go ahead and discard this. Its effect fires. The ravage here is insufficient to accomplish anything. Same deal there. Good job, everybody. Then we have a sand build. So right here, we do still get a build because this space is adjacent to 2 enemy buildings, if I am reading this right. Affect lands without invaders if they are adjacent to at least 2 towns or cities, yeah. We're pretty much just always going to get builds now. That's just the way of our lives here. And there... Oh, no, sorry. No build there because the disease. The disease blocks the build. Here, we are adjacent to 2 towns. Oh... See, if I was a smart guy, I could have pushed this town to here and then we would actually have not had a build in the corner. Well, that's, let it serve as a lesson. I'm not necessarily opposed to being like, well, now that I realize, not necessarily opposed to walking back half an action in a solo game, but I think we'll let that one stand just to help me remember to pay attention in the future. And then, Mountain Explorer. Not a big deal, I don't think. So, the jungles move over to the high immigration area. There are going to be so many buildings in some of these jungle tiles, or jungle spaces. We've got to get some more destruction going. Alright, let's slow phase. Let's see about some of that destruction. So we don't have moons. The only thing we can do is Never Heard From Again. We can place a Badlands and then destroy some tokens. 0 range from yellow presence. Do we have... No, we would have to get to 4 green to be able to actually deal damage. As soon as this power can deal damage, it's going to be incredibly powerful. We really need to get to the plant here. Well, maybe we just put down a Badland tile over here and kill that guy? I think I'm okay with that. That's right, I moved the Badlands so that we wouldn't have to go all the way over there to get them. Oh yeah, if this power destroys any guys, a fear. I forgot. I may have forgotten to generate a fear off that last turn. Oh well. If I did, it is too late now. And I think that's our whole slow phase, right? Yeah, we were very fast power this round. Okay, time passes. I am not happy with the amount of work that we've gotten done over these first 2 turns. It feels like we are still very, very dense with enemies. Time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Steve Jobs, boy. If anybody ever listened to Steve Jobs, Apple wouldn't sell any products. This is bad. We really are on a much higher difficulty. Alright, I think during this growth phase, both of the spirits have to play Reclaims. Oh no, you don't. You can just play Grab Energy. And I think that's what we'll do, because we really do want to keep adding presence. So the question is, do we add presence to Moon? I think we probably add presence to Moon here. Not because we even want the Moon necessarily, but because that opens up 3 plays per turn and 3 energy per turn. Just throw this over here again, just so that it's auto-tracking for me. And this goes in any land. Okay, there's not even a joking consideration of range to be made here. So where do we most want to be able to jump stuff around? It might be useful for me to have a presence here, just so, like, if this is where we end up building the Great Trap, having a presence here so that we can dump stuff off in the Great Trap seems useful. And then, yeah, we get 2 energy, right? So then I get my 1 energy income, and then we have 2 card plays to make. We're gonna have Build Jungle, Ravage Sand. Ravage Sand is a huge problem. So what do we have that can help with that? We have some ability to move enemies around with our paths, provided that we get to either 2 white, 3 purple, or 2 purple, 1 blue. Well, 2 purple, 1 blue. Get here. Honestly, this card's great for us in a bunch of ways. Really meets our thresholds. Yeah, let's play Traveler's Boon. Help make the other spirit's life a little bit easier if he wants to redistribute or something. And then... Offer passage between worlds doesn't really seem all that great. Delusions of danger is so... It's such a tiny, tiny effect. They both have white-purple. Yeah, I guess we'll play this. This is a really tiny effect as well. When invaders ravage, up to 2 Dahan take no damage. Do we have a spot where we'd like to... I guess we could do that right here. Just have the Dahan tank this and then eat the town. We could do it up here as well. All this does is generate 2 fear. Yeah, it feels really bad. All of our powers on this side of the board feel pretty bad. Again, once we're reliably shoveling things into the trap, I think we're going to feel a lot better. Okay, so the way we've set this up, we get to hit the first 2 levels of ley paths. I'm alright with that. And then on this side, we need a reclaim. Or, alternatively, we could just grab a new power card. If we did another play presence, then grabbed a power card, we're going to end up at 5 energy. We could try to gain a major power. You're allowed to forget stuff from your discard pile, so we could just drop, let's see, what would it be? To be perfectly honest, probably Gift of the Untamed Wild. Okay, Gift of the Untamed Wild is one of only 2 cards that we have that have any orange on them, so that's a thing worth thinking about, but I think that's what we're going to do. Let's lay another presence from this track for sure, and gain a power card. So let's do the gain power card first. And we are going to be gutsy here and gain a major. Alright, Poisoned Land. 1 fear, 7 damage, add a blight. Oof. And also murder all of the Dahan in the area. And then for each blight present, potentially, some more stuff. I don't know if we have enough grays to hit that. We have greens and reds. Strangling Firevine can only be done within 1 range of sands, so it grows out from the desert. Destroys explorers. Gets real wild, just like a ton of wilds. 1 damage per wilds token in and adjacent to the target land. It has orange and green on it, which is good symbols for us, and then if we have enough orange and green, it does even more damage. I kind of like that, honestly. How conveniently located are the sands? Oh, actually they're beautiful. Yeah, I think Strangling Firevine might be exactly what we're looking for. And again, kind of a really great theme match with what we're doing here. Death falls gently from open blossoms is 4 damage and some disease and potentially some fear and disease. Wow, if you hit that extra threshold though, it is 3 disease tokens. That's a big deal. Unrelenting Growth, target spirit adds 2 presence and wow. Target spirit adds 2 presence. And potentially removes a blight, and potentially you gain a spirit card. I think that Unrelenting Growth and Strangling Firevine are both phenomenally good. I think I'm gonna go for Strangling Firevine, because we really benefit from damage with all the Badlands tokens we're laying, but it is not trivial to turn down the Unrelenting Growth. And then, like I said, the power we forget is gonna be Gift of the Untamed Wild. So new cards gained go into your hand, no matter where the forgotten card comes from. Alright, and then we get our 2 power income, and we do not get to play both of our cards. I think we're on Strangling Firevine. Oh, this is also gone. We do not have this anymore. I think we play Strangling Firevine? Do I actually have presence in the appropriate jungle? Or actually, I have presence in that sand. Honestly, we could just fire it in that sand. And we have presence in this one too. Yeah, like that's fine. That's fine. And every time we fire this, it's going to be really, really cool and good and fun. We don't have a fire symbol on our tracks, and we don't actually have an easy time getting another one. So we really like to find another card or two that has orange on it. Or we could play Softly Back and Ever Inward with the intent of playing the Fire Vine next turn once we've had a little bit more setup time for it. Thing is, I really want to get the tokens out on the table. I think we're just going to play the Fire Vine. Oh, I should also actually place this. So, inland for range, I think we know approximately what we're doing here. Alright. Back to 4. Alright, I think that's a pretty okay spirit phase. Let's do some fast stuff. And by let's, I mean, hey bird guy, do some fast stuff. So first things first, move one being from one of your lands to another of your lands, and then repeat. I think we want to shift just guys out of the sands, obviously. Does it matter particularly where we do it? Part of me wants to just dump 2 cities over here. I guess actually the smarter move would be, and this is the red presence we're working with. By the way, I noticed on the video, I'm not sure if it's a color compression thing or what's going on, but that the red pieces look way more orange than they do on my actual play monitor. So if you were wondering why does he keep saying red when actually they're orange, that's why, because they are actually red. While I'm sitting here in Tabletop Simulator. I'm not sure what's causing that. I think probably the smart move is this town goes out, because that prevents that ravage from being actually damaging. And then we shift one of the cities. We just keep feeding stuff into the trap to be dealt with later. I laid him a path he couldn't refuse. You +1 range with all your powers, and you can redistribute your presence, and then also target spirit, which obviously is yellow, does the same thing. Yeah. Do we want to redistribute presence? I don't really know what the best way to take advantage of this particular power is. It might well be the case that this presence would be better off in that wetland. You know, I'm already adjacent to everything over here. I guess adjacency doesn't really matter, though. We have so much range on our powers that really the only... It is kind of the case that the only distinction for us is things that are our land versus things that are not our land. And I think yellow's presence is exactly where yellow wants it to be. So I think this power is not doing anything at all. We just played it to get symbols. And sometimes it happens. And I'm going to offer passage between worlds to these 2 Dahan. They will not take damage this turn. And they will get to fight back. We're still going to get blighted. Oh, actually, if that's the case, this presence should get moved. I'm going to have him... Actually, yeah, you know what? He's just going to do this. We'll create a sacred site over here. Or... No, we'll create a sacred site over here. Because the presence there would just die. There's no sense in having it. And I guess, again, like, that's also... We may as well just move that. Hey, what do you know? It did something after all. Okay, so we've used those. We'll mark that Dahan take no damage effect with this, so I don't forget. So we're gonna see... Oof, boy. Why did I think this was better? It's not a good place for that presence. Actually, you know what? It's fine. When a blight comes down, it destroys 1 presence in the area, so moving a second presence there at least protects the, protects me having something over here to play with. Yeah, not ideal, but it'll have to do. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. With this event card. Right, because now we're done fast phase, so... For the rest of this turn, towns and cities have +1 health. I don't think that hurts us too much. And then each beast destroys one explorer and add a beast on a board that doesn't have any. We don't have any such boards. You are dead. And you guys, one of you guys eats him, and you eat him. We have no other beasts and explorers together. And then add one Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. People of the island, you know, they are always given birth, just constantly given birth. I think I like this one. That was an on each board thing, right? Yeah, so we'll also do it here over the jungle, I think. I don't think there's a lot of reason to put another Dahan over there. Plus, putting him here puts him in my land so we can warp him around. Turns out everywhere on the island is right next to everywhere else on the island. So there was that, then the fear, then, before Ravage, the extra build, the high immigration build. And remember, this high immigration tile thing goes away as soon as a stage 2 card slides onto it, so when this one gets there. Alright, the crappy build. Jungle. Pretty sure we're getting builds in every jungle. This is a city. They think it's safe still to construct cities deep in the jungle here. And yet this is also still adjacent to multiple buildings. It's tough. It's tough to deal with. We're doing our best. Then, Sands Ravage. So here we do get a blight, but the Dahan survive and then they destroy the town afterward. How dare you, they say. But they don't say it quite as quickly as we might like. Here, this guy deals 1 damage, and then he gets exploded. Here, a blight is occur. And here, a blight is occur, and also the Dahan dies. Yeah, that was real bad. That's 3 of our 4 Healthy Island blight right away. We need to establish some control. Thing is, I don't even feel like we're being ineffectual all that much. It's just there's a lot of trouble to deal with here. And then we have another build, the mountain build. So town, 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 and city. It's pretty ugly. And then the first of the Stage 2 Explore cards. So Explore Sands and also Escalation. On each board with the towns or cities, build in the land with the most towns or cities. So right here, we have another town build. And then over here, we have a tie, which means we get to make the call. Do I want it to be a jungle or a mountain? I want it to be in that jungle. Here we make a town. Okay. And Explore Sands. I'm not so worried about the explorers. I think the explorers are largely irrelevant. I say that, but I'm already like very nervous. Alright. And then this goes to the discard pile. Stuff moves over. Slow phase, turtles. You have no turtle stuff. You have turtle stuff. So, we are on no moons again. And in fact, kind of no symbols at all, really. This is a low symbol phase. But what we do have is the Strangling Firevine. So, within 1 range of a sand, destroy all the explorers, add some wilds tokens, and then we're going to do some damage. So we need to figure out where is the most pressing area to do that. A mountain adjacent to a sand might well be the answer. It would be best if it was a mountain that had a badland in it, but we have not managed to get that level of preparation going just yet. Well, I would say here... Oh, I forgot. This presence was destroyed when that blight was played. Just put this over here somewhere. I'm thinking this is maybe the spot. This is a place where we have nothing else going on. We have no way of interacting with it. So if we did it that way, we have another Wilds token here. Yeah. So if we do it that way, we'll place a Wilds token there, then a Wilds token in the originating sands, and then 1 damage per token in and adjacent to the target, so it would be 3 damage. It would destroy the city immediately. It's probably better... Oh, I guess it doesn't really make much difference, does it? I was going to say it's probably better if we do it here, but we can't. This is the only mountain that is not adjacent to a sands. We could do it here, and it will do enough damage to actually clear them out, which will prevent the ravage from harming us at all. But we also have potentially other means of dealing with that. That's a red land, so stuff can get teleported out of it. I think it makes the most sense to do it here. So we make a Wilds and a Wilds, and then we do 3 damage, generating 2 fear. So as you can see, fear doesn't always fly as fast as it did that last game. We had very good fear generation from the flock spirit. The flock spirit's really cool. Okay, and that's our only slow power for this turn. It's a sad, sad time. So I suppose then, time passes. Time wastes our bodies and our wits. That's what I hear. And since I've heard it twice on the internet, it can't possibly be false at this point. Alright, growth. Over here we are going to have to take the reclaim, unfortunately. Not happy about it, but I think it is the truth. Oh, I forgot to put a moon symbol over that. Okay, it didn't matter. If this card had had a moon on it, that would have meant we got to fire Forsake Society once, but no such luck. Alright, so on this side, we're going to take reclaim cards and gain an energy. Then for the other half of our growth option, we're going to grab... maybe +2 energy, gain a symbol? That'll give us 6 energy with which we can do whatever we want. And I'm thinking that there's definitely some value in Swallowed by the Wilderness followed by Strangling Firevine for firing the extra, the back half of this, and then we have a bunch of symbols, and God, we're so close. We're so close to having the 4-1 on that thing. I think that's the right move. We're gonna take 2 energy and an extra green? Yeah, because we need to have 3 green for this. So we'll have an extra green for the turn. And then we're going to get our income for the turn, and then our 2 card plays are going to be... this and this, which is going to cost almost everything. But only almost. Then 2 orange, 3 green, 1 red. It gives us some stuff to work with. Still no Forsake. Man, maybe I'm screwing up by not playing enough Forsake early on, because it does let us relocate things really well. Probably the yellow spirit doesn't need to be doing the relocating. This guy should be handling a lot of our relocation needs. So you probably also got to do a reclaim. Although I sure would love to get one more of these. What if we played another presence? I'm just thinking, what are the costs of the cards that are left in here? If we do presence and gain a power card, and we take this, then next turn when we do a reclaim, we could potentially even gain a major. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. We're gonna add a presence and gain a power card. Gain a minor for this turn, and honestly, it could cost up to 3 and it would be fine. Oh hey, look at all the zeros. We found them. Target land is a jungle or wetland, fear and 1 damage, and then if you have 3 red, also 1 damage. That's a weird card. Land of Haunts and Embers does 2 fear, push up to 2, never mind. It adds blight. It's going to be like, hey, that's exciting. So 3 of these cards require aiming them from a sacred site. Red doesn't have any sacred sites right now. We can make one. We're going to have to defend against a red mountain ravage here. Red has very little ability to do stuff about that at the moment. We can warp guys out of this mountain. Defend 10 only happens in the mountain we're currently in. Or in the space we're currently in. Here we could... Savage Mob Beast just seems really weak to me. Right? Why is this card so awkward to use? It doesn't do anything at all. Unless, by default, unless the land is a jungle or a wetland, and it has to be targeted near a sacred site, and it's just very restrictive. This just generates some fear. Honestly, I'm not opposed to that. Yellow, white, purple. It's honestly not even bad symbols. I'll take it. Oh, sorry, I should hit pick power, because they have a whole script set up. Yeah, I'll take it. That's fine. And then we're going to play those 2, obviously. So I'm going to generate a sacred site. Next time an invader is destroyed in target land this turn, generate extra fear. Where are people going to be destroyed? Well, I mean here, obviously. Where else? What are we doing in the fast phase on this side? We are going to do damage. I really wish we had more Badlands tokens. I guess another thing we could do is just put a guy down in another mountain. And instead of worrying about firing off this sacred site power this turn, we can just warp more guys. I guess, do I need to play both those cards in order to have warps available? In order to have one of them, yeah. So if I don't play both my cards, I'm leaving myself out of one of the teleports. If I do that, gosh, all those cards I was thinking about that were like, hey, moving beings around, that doesn't seem all that great. I really wish I had them now, because being able to move our presence around would be really cool. Yeah, being able to move our presence around would be super great, actually. I'm going to go ahead and do this way, so we have a sacred site in a reasonably well-defended place, but we're going to probably take an extra blight this turn because of that, and this is like a long-term setup play. Maybe it'll kill us, but I'm thinking the cost is low enough. Alright, so we'll get our 3 income for the turn, and then we'll spend 1 of it, so we'll end up at 3. Alright, let's fast phase. So let's start by earning our fear. Here, I can push an explorer, and also, or I could get 2 fear. I kind of think we want to go for the 2 fear. Is there a place where push an explorer makes a lot of sense? Hold on, let me, what we're doing 1 damage per token in a land that yellow has presence in. Gosh, I wish we had denser token coverage. Yeah, and with yellow not having any forsake, they're actually having trouble moving things into the right areas. Yellow doesn't have any presence in any of the mountains. And I can't move them there with the cards I had left. Basically, I think that I made a strategic error here. that caused this to be a really weak turn, and this is a bad turn to be a weak turn. So we're going to take a ton of damage here. So with this basically being either like do 1 damage somewhere, do an inconsequential 1 damage somewhere, or just do a bunch of damage here, which is way more likely to be how we use it. That's not actually providing any guidance at all for where we might want to push a person, which I think means we're just going to take the fear. I don't think there's anywhere that a single explorer push is going to make much of a difference. I guess a single explorer push here means that when the Dahan retaliate, they empty the tile, but they don't really, because stuff can always build wherever. When you're up against England, emptying tiles doesn't actually work. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take the 2 fear. The next fear card out will up the terror level, which we probably, there's no way we're going to get to it. Sure would be nice, though. And then here, we're going to take 2 fear. We're targeting, the next time an invader gets destroyed in this land, we're going to target here, I guess? Yeah, because it's got to be somewhere around the... I think we can make that work. We'll target there, so probably we will get another fear off of that. Okay, and then here, 2 more fear. Maybe we can get there, actually. Yeah, we're totally going to get that card. And then I'm gonna target the deep wilderness space here, because we got to start cleaning up some of these buildings, or we're going to hit the accidental loss condition. So we have 3 tokens, we get 3 damage, but remember there's a bad land there, so do we hit all 3 of the towns once each and then they all blow up from the bad land damage? I think that's probably right. That gets us 3 more fear. Okay, who knows? We're gonna get 2 terror level 2 fear cards here. Maybe this will be enough to turn things around for us. I think that's the whole fast phase, though. No, wait, sorry. This power's fast. So we have the 2 white, 2 purple, and we also have... No, we don't have a blue. Why did I think we had a blue? Okay, so we get to do this once. One being from one of my lands to another land. Another one of my lands. That thing probably is what we do. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that's a pretty obviously okay play. Okay, now our fast phase is over. Let's move to event time. War touches the island's shores. Invaders from a different faraway land assault the ones here, torching farms and bombarding cities. You can allow the attacks. For each board, discard the top major power. Deal its energy in damage to invaders and the land in the coastal land with the most buildings. Defend does reduce this damage. Or help repel the newcomers. Cost 1 energy per player. Add a fear card to the top of the fear deck. Ooh. Okay, hold on. Let's have a look at what that would look like. So... it is interesting. Here, the invaders would deal damage... the new invaders would deal damage to the old invaders in this coastal land, and it's possible that they would blight this but also destroy these buildings, which is a lot better than what's going to happen now, where England blights the land and keeps all their buildings. But if we hit a cost that is 2, 3, or 4, we'll gain a blight, and it won't actually clear out all the enemies, and then we'll get a blight cascade. And over here, it'll just be like... over here, it's just going to be a nightmare, no matter how it goes. But I really, really don't want to add another fear card to the fear deck. I know we're not generating a huge amount of fear, but, like, getting to terror level 3 is maybe the only chance we have of winning. So I think I'm just going to allow the attacks, and we'll see what a nightmare it is. For each board, discard the top major power. So we're going to do the top board first. 3. I should have announced. Obviously, we're targeting this area, because if we targeted this area, there would be a blight cascade. As much as I would love to kill that city. So it's just, yeah, the most buildings. Okay, yeah, so the coastal area with the most buildings. This area takes 3 damage. Dead, and then also, unfortunately, blighted. Okay, what does this do? At the start of each invader phase, oh geez, downward spiral is very harsh. At the start of each invader phase, each spirit destroys one of their presence. That's really bad. And then we have 10 blight left. I think we might be doomed. And then for the lower island, lower half of the island, 4, maybe the worst possible outcome. So that's 3 damage to this city, which generates 2 more fear. 1 damage to this thing, and then a blight. Yeah. That's rough. It's really rough, because then they're going to make another blight happen there. Well, again, we have fear cards coming. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a little lucky. Okay. Beasts find new homes. On each board, push 1 beast to an adjacent land without blight. If there's invaders there, get a fear. We're getting a lot of fear. I do like that. I will push you to here, and you will generate them a fear. It's terrifying beasts prowling around. You actually can't move to a land without blight. You can, though. Also a fear. And finally, each player may push 1 Dahan to an adjacent land, doing 1 damage there. Yes! Go forth, young Dahan, and reclaim your territory. And then we can do that 1 more time, because there are 2 players. Where will it matter? Pretty much nowhere, right? Except in terms of, like, just stacking up enough Dahan to maybe defend something later. To be perfectly honest, it might be push this Dahan again. We could push 1 Dahan over to here in the hopes of the fear cards being useful. I think I'm going to do that. Push a Dahan here. He'll do 1 damage to that explorer, and that is the next time an invader is destroyed in target land. That gets us that, and we're going to hope that one of these fear cards is going to cause him to do some damage or defend or something. We might be able to avoid a blight. Maybe. Okay, so that's War Touches the Island's Shores, fully processed. Here come 2 fear cards. Come on, fear cards. Each player removes an explorer or a town from a land with their presence. I like that. Still no presence, unfortunately, in the lands where the blighting is happening. But we should remove, like, towns and stuff from deserts where possible, from sands. Then, so that was yellow that did that, so red gets to do 1 too. I guess this, maybe? Keep this area clean, the big trap area can continue to be the big trap. I think that's an okay outcome. Yeah. And then the other fear card. Each player adds 1 strife to a town. For the rest of this turn, invaders have -1 health per strife, to a minimum of 1. Hey, that's actually pretty cool. In fact, that's hugely relevant. Yeah, just gets to add a strife to any town. So one of us does it here, to this town. One of us does it here to that town, and now we're not getting any ravages anymore. Not getting any meaningful ravages. Yeah, okay. I'm down with that. That was a really good fear card. It was like a really, really good fear card. Okay, and then the Invader time. So first of all, build sand, ravage desert, or ravage mountain, then build sand. That's pretty rough. So we get you and you, and you. Then Ravage Mountain is the strife is expended, prevents the town from doing damage, so you do 1 damage, which does nothing. You do nothing. You ravage here, doing 1 damage, then a Dahan eats you. And you don't do damage, but the ravage still occurs. So after he does 0 damage, he gets killed by that Dahan. Which gives us another fear. We're still very far away from terror level 3, remember. Okay, and then build sands again, which is really rough. Now it's cities in all of those places. I know here we still build a town. Oops, that's my bad. Nope. There we go. Here's the thing about physics, sometimes not actually helpful, not quite what you're looking for. Okay. And then an Explore that, of course, has the escalation symbol on it, as almost all of the Stage 2 cards do. So build in the land with the most buildings. Here it is a town. And here we have 2 different lands, actually, where we are going to... in one of these, we'll build a city. This land's a little harder to deal with because it's coastal, I think, so we'll do this. I guess we would deal with either of these places by drawing them into the wet badlands, so in that sense I guess it doesn't really matter which is which, but we should not build in the sand if possible because there's going to be a ravage here next turn. And we do this. Okay, the good news is next turn's high immigration is going to be the last one, because when this moves in it'll get rid of that before it's ever used. So... there's your bright side. There's the silver lining if you really want to see it. But you have to, really, really want to see it. Okay, slow phase, turtles. Turtle time. You have no slow phase. You have some slow phase. Okay, we get no forsakes, but we do get a never heard from again. And also, of course, some great big fiery vines. The best part is that, between the 2 of these, we're going to be able to do a lot of damage to some things. So the first thing we're going to do is do a bunch of damage adjacent to a sand where we have presence. Or, just in a sand where we have presence also works. I think this has got to be the target, right? We have to clear some of this out. So... we would just be adding 2 wilds tokens here. I'm okay with that. So add 2 wilds tokens, then do 1 billion damage. And then do all of that damage again. Man, definitely some overkill. Is this the best place to do it, actually? If I were to target it, say... gosh, I wish I had a presence in that land. Again, we'd be in so much of a better shape if I had been able to move beings on the last turn or 2. I did not play my my cards very well with the Pathfinder. Played them in a very weak order. So we have to target something. We could do it here, I suppose. We could drop 2 wilds tokens, do 2 damage, and then we do get to do another 2 damage because we get the bottom half of this. So it would do 4 damage here, which is sadly not enough to clear it out. It's not even enough to get both of the buildings down. So it's going to be build mountain, ravage desert, build jungle. I think we should do it right here. We're making kind of a weird stronghold. I'm into it. This is fine. So we're just gonna go ahead and go wilds. Add a token in the in the target, then add a token in the originating wilds, then do 1 damage per token in the area, so 5 damage, then do it again, so we kill everything in the area. That's 3 more fear. Oh, I guess it destroys all the explorers first, so the 5 damage was good enough to wipe the area out, but we do get to do 5 more damage. Just, for feel. And then here, we can do a Badlands and then blow some stuff up. So probably this is where that goes, right? Badlands token, and then all we can really do is destroy that guy, and doing so generates a fear. Yeah, destroy up to 2. Again, we're just a tiny bit short of being able to actually deal damage with that power. Which is a real shame, because this is a turn where that would have been relevant. Drop a Badlands token and then deal 2 damage. It's, very, very powerful. So that goes away, time passes, and we are hanging on by our fingernails. Don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, etc. That's not exactly true. I think a lot of those people didn't have to work multiple jobs to feed themselves, and it's a very different economic situation. I think I'm not familiar with H. Jackson Brown Jr., but maybe profoundly economically ignorant, it seems like. Alright, growth. What do we do here? Well, I mean, we reclaim here. It's not really an option. But we're also going to get to gain a card, and we're going to have 6 energy at the end of our income phase, so this might be a good time to take a major. We gotta make something happen. Yeah, we're going to take a major, and we get to ignore range this turn. The concept of range does not exist for us. Each strife or blight in the target land, 1 fear and 2 damage, and then also maybe a beast. Grant hatred a ravenous form. If the hatred kills all the invaders, it actually becomes an animal. And then add strife in up to 3 adjacent lands. This, the front half of this card is, kind of crummy for 4 energy, I think, but man, if you can activate the back half of it, it's totally bananas and sets itself up for repeat plays. Alright, infinite vitality. Within 1 range of a sacred site, Dahan have +4 health whenever blight would be added there. Instead, don't. Just don't do that. Also, if you have 4 earth, Dahan ignore damage and destruction effects and heal some blight. Boy, we don't have the earth elements, right? Oh, actually, we kind of do. You have to get to 4? That's not going to be easy to do without any on the tracks. But that's definitely compelling. Sea monsters. I'm enjoying the art on this at least. Add a beast, then per beast 2 fear and 3 damage, and also per blight 1 damage. And if you have enough red and blue, repeat. Targets only coastal or wetland. Well, it's a shame. Wetlands have not really been battlegrounds so far. Yeah, I think this card's great, but it's not really relevant to our situation, I don't think. And then Savage Transformation, 2 fear, replace a... Oh wow, replace an Explorer with a Beast. That is in fact a Savage Transformation. And then if you have white and red, even more of that. Well, it's definitely not Savage Transformation, and it's probably not Grant Hatred or Ravenous Form. This is going to the red spirit, who only has a single other orange symbol to work with. Move up to N beings from target land to a land within N range that has Dahan. Huh. Weird. That's a good card and everything. And we have moons. I think if you can trigger infinite vitality is amazing. If you can trigger the back half. But I think we might be in Grant Hatred or Ravenous Form space here. We have a moon, and most of our cards have moons. So 4 white, 2 orange isn't really undoable. The first time we cast this, it's not going to be great. I really like it, though. I think it has a lot of potential. If we can just, like, spread strife everywhere, and then use that strife to pick off more enemies. Oh, man, I'm pretty torn. Infinite Vitality is cool. You'd have to get to 4 card plays in order to ever be able to use it. Oh no, we do have a gray symbol on our board, and actually it's accessible even. So we'd have to get 3 card plays and that, and we'd have to play the 4 cards that we would have then with gray on them. I think this is maybe one of the most important choices we've made all game. So sorry if this is a little frustrating that I'm taking it so slowly. These cards are both very, very, very good. We currently have no way of healing Blight. I'm going to take Infinite Vitality, and we're going to build for that rather than building for trying to grant Hatred or Ravenous Form. Because again, like, we would only be able to use this some of the time. Do Strife tokens contribute to... No, Strife tokens do not contribute to Never Heard From Again. They're the only kind that don't. Alright, I'm going to try Infinite Vitality. We're going to try to use the Dahan to get out of this. We're just going to have to build around having more grays. It's possible that this is too slow. This is going to be too slow to fix us. Okay, so we did that. We get 3 more energy. And then we get to play some cards. We only have 2 card plays this turn. If we were to play Infinite Vitality this turn just for the Dahan boost, would it actually do anything at all? No, because the Ravage is in Sands. There are no Dahan there. We could try to push some Dahan there, but honestly, I don't know that it matters too much. What we probably have to do is just warp a bunch of guys out of that space. Oh, I should take this back. That thing that we were marking there happened many turns ago. Yeah, so Infinite Vitality is not a thing we're playing this turn. We almost certainly want to play... Move up to 2 beings from target land to a land within 2 that has the same terrain. So we could move our own presence to a land within 2 that has the same terrain, then drop these guys to a non-sand area somewhere. I think we have to try to do that. Hold on, if we take... this. We take the paths to... Oh, well, actually, that's slow. Yeah, shoot, these move being things are slow. This is the only thing we have that moves quickly, that moves at fast speed. It'll only work in lands that have Dahan. Well, okay, we could prevent Blight over here then, by doing that. That's probably a thing worth playing. So we'll do this. Aid from the Spirit Speakers. 2 Dahan lets us move 2 buildings, which is enough to prevent further Blight, and thus a Blight Cascade. And then we get another play, which could just be... Let's see. Where are we at on fear cards? We need 4 fear to earn a second card for the turn. So that's doable. But I'm wondering if maybe it's a good time to like play Paths Tied by Nature so that at the end of the turn we can clean up for next turn. if we do that, we're not gonna have 2 white. If I want to be able to have maximum like teleportation style movement, we really need to be careful how we do this. I have to play a card that has a white and a blue on it. So this or Traveler's Boon. You know what? I kind of like Circuitous and Wending Trail. This is going to leave me with only 1 Move Beings card. Where again, we're playing our Move Beings cards right next to each other, but I think that's the way we have to run that Spirit phase, because we need to be able to fire Lay Paths twice, so that we can move stuff out of the out of this Sands. And then you... What do we do with you? I really need to play more Presence. So we're not going to do a Reclaim, we're going to do this. Add Presence to an inland land within 4, and then... Do we want to gain a symbol? We can do a defend 4 in a sand. Within 1. We won't need it here. It won't quite be enough here, but we can maybe make it be enough if we can like move an Explorer or something at fast speed. Which we can't. Well, we have a fear card incoming and stuff, though. It might work. I'm going to go ahead and play it. We may well be able to... That works. Sorry. What I was doing there was not figuring out... What I was doing there was trying to figure out what my symbols are going to look like. So if we're playing this... I should put a thing here so that this represents correctly. Playing this, we're not necessarily... Like, we have no way of getting an orange. So it doesn't matter if we generate a 3rd green. So we don't have to play Perils of the Deepest Island. We still might because it puts a Badlands token up, and I do love a Badlands token. Either one of these will get me a Forsake. And in fact, it'll get me the first 2 lines of Forsake, because we already have a purple on the other card we're going to play. So basically I'm trying to figure out, do we gain a power or do we gain one of these? So if we play these 2 cards, then we're looking at... Now, I was trying to figure out if we could get the 3rd line of Forsake Society going, but we're short a white and a red if we do it this way. And if we do it this way, we're short a purple and a red. Or... No, if we do it this way, we have 2 white, 1 purple. We're short a white and a purple. Yeah. So there's no way that this helps us. So I think we just gain a power. And is it another major? Do we have a thing I'd feel comfortable forgetting? I think these are both great. We really don't want to use Softly Beckon Ever Inward very much. But maybe I should be. Let's do gain a minor power. So we'll do that before we actually place our presence, so that we have some idea what we might, what targeting we might want to do here. Okay. Scour the Land is a blight adder. Destroys 3 towns, potentially, though, and potentially at fast speed. We have a ton of purples, so we could make that happen. Nature's Resilience gives it defend 6. Or lets you remove blight. We don't have very many blue symbols at all, though. Purifying Flame deals damage and lets you remove blight. Disorienting Landscape does very little. A lot of Sacred Site powered stuff we've seen this game. And I mean, we have a couple. Could potentially... This is tricky. These are 4 cards that I don't like, basically. This lets me remove a blight pretty cheaply. It was almost like an afterthought, and it still gives me green and purple. Disorienting landscape having green and purple and white on it is also definitely interesting. And adding more wilds. Yeah, and adding more wilds. Also pretty cool. This gives me another orange, though. Yeah, we'll take Purifying Flame. That's right, we were looking for another orange, and this plays well with our cards in a whole bunch of ways. Okay, so Inland, within range 4, and Purifying Flame requires a Sacred Site for targeting. Definitely a thing worth thinking about. We might go Sacred Site here, then. This gives us an angle to an awful lot of blight. What is... Remove stuff in mountains and sands. Yeah, that's the right spot for that. Okay, let's actually play the cards then. So we want to play you, pretty sure. Sorry, we want to take our income, then play you, get us some defense, and then do we just play Purifying Flame now? Maybe. This does let me fire the good version of Never Heard From Again. Yeah, okay. Alright, fast phase. So we have this within range 2, defend 4 in a sand. I think we just do it here and hope. Right now this is 6 damage, but events and stuff could happen. So we're already going to deal with these, and there's no dealing with that. Yeah. Alright. Defend 4. Here's hoping. You know, we have events, we have that fear card. Stuff could transpire. Then N is the number of Dahan in target land. Move up to N beings from target land to a land within N that has Dahan. This turn we did Reclaim, so range is ignored. We can put them anywhere, it's just move up to N beings out of a land that has N Dahan. So... okay, we could use this to bounce, like, this town. And then leave the Explorer and the city because we want the Dahan here to eat them. I don't know where we put this thing, because, you know, everywhere is dangerous. We don't want to move it to a jungle, we know that. We could try to move some stuff out of a jungle, I suppose, but, like, builds are going to happen no matter what. No, I think we got to move this town with this ability, with this power. So we'll just shift it to here. I don't love that, but at least there's tokens built up here, so, like, we'll be able to destroy stuff in this area. And then, done that. So now we just do lay paths where they cannot help but walk. We get to fire the first 2 lines of it. So move 1 being from one of your lands to another one of your lands. Maybe move these both out to the small trap, because the big trap is starting to get a little terrifying. And over here we have the wilds necessary to, like, just vine stuff up. We're starting to see the pairing work the way we want it to. Like, we have a really good version of that thing going here. I'm just worried that we got it up too late. Okay, so that's fast phase, right? Don't have any of this, yeah. Okay, we haven't done any isolating at all. So now it is time for the Blighted Island. At the start of each Invader phase, each spirit destroys one of their presence. This is rough, but also not something we could do anything about. I think for red it's this one, pretty obviously. And for yellow, it's probably this one. Oh, no, wait, we need to maintain We need to maintain presence in that sand, so it's probably this one. Yeah, that's gonna just absolutely brutalize us. The Blighted Island effect. Okay, and then event card. Blighted Island. Widening Destruction. On each board, either destroy 2 presence in total, or add a blight to a land with or adjacent to a town. We choose this even if there's no valid land. Well, sadly, there are valid lands. It's got to be at blight. We can't lose more presence. So, a land with or adjacent to buildings. Right, the scripting. I can't just lay stuff down on the table. Here, I guess. Then the other one can go here. This is adjacent to some buildings. I guess I want to put it adjacent to yellow presence, though, so that we can clean it up later, maybe. Maybe. Here, I don't want to lay it here. I don't want to lay it in this mountain because it's too dangerous. There's going to be too much stuff in that mountain. Okay. Then Grim Toll. On each board, choose a land with disease. In that land, do 2 damage to invaders and 2 damage to the Dahan. There's only 1 disease token on the board. It's right here. It does 2 damage to the invaders, not actually killing anything, and 2 damage to the Dahan. And finally, during Ravage, in every land, defend 1 per Dahan. Okay, that doesn't change anything at all. The problem with effects like that are you just can't rely on them. Every time we hope that they will happen, they don't, and every time we don't need them to happen, they do. Alright, Fear card. What do we got here? Each player may gather 1 explorer or town into a coastal land and defend 2 in all coastal lands. What do we want to do here? I don't think that we want to move anything that isn't coastal into the coast. I suppose we could move a town from here into one of these 2 tiles. The goal of just reducing the amount of garbage that's going to be in this space after the build. Over here, on this board, we don't even have any buildings that are adjacent to coastal, but not coastal. Yeah, let's draw this over to... honestly, to here. It's fine. It doesn't change anything at all. It just makes this a little bit less ugly at the end of the turn. Then defend 2 in all coastal lands does nothing. That's not a good fear card for our situation. There are some situations where that would be really great to draw. I think I have killed us, fortunately. Okay, so the high immigration mountain build. Bad news. It's everywhere. You get to build everywhere. Yep, this is certainly adjacent to 2 buildings, as is this. And then Ravage in the Sands. So here, we have enough to defend, the Dahan are fine, and then we do actually get to kill everything, which is pretty great. Nothing happens there, nothing happens there. Here, terrible. Here it's just terrible. So we get another blight here, and then because there's already a blight here, we get a cascade out to another nearby region, which I think I'm going to have be here, because we're about to have an awful lot of stuff in this jungle, and it's going to ravage, and we got to try to limit the amount of cascading that goes on, because we only have 5 blight left for our lives. Okay. And then, build. So, jungle build gets us town, and city, and town, and sadly, town, because there sure are buildings adjacent to that. Then we explore the wetlands. This is the first time we've drawn wetlands, right? Okay, so no explore happens here because it's blocked by the wilds. Here we get one. Here the wilds blocks it, and here we get one. And also, that card sure does have the escalation symbol on it. So build in the land with the most things. A third city enters this tile, and we're very close to losing the game here. And a... Let's see, this is a 4, this is also a 4. I think we put it here. This city is, this tile's not going to build or ravage any further for a moment. I mean, listen, neither one of them's good. Alright, and then we have a slide. And as soon as the Stage 2 card slides into here, this thing goes away, and this just becomes a normal discard pile. Ooh, at least that part's over, huh? And then it is slow phase. So, we're going to lose here. I think it's pretty obvious. I think this was probably winnable. I did not yet understand the value of the Finder of Paths Unseen. I get it now. And I think the spirit designs in this expansion are super cool. There's so much... You get to make so many interesting choices. So we're going to get to do some being moving. And then over here you have the Purifying Flame, which we desperately need. Plus... Just Never Heard From Again. We don't get Forsakes. Still, it's pretty good. I guess those two things don't really interact all that much. So move up to 2 beings to the next highest numbered land on the next higher numbered land on the same board. We need to break up some of these jungle areas. 2 beings. We could just shove these guys over, right? That solves that problem pretty well. I think that's the solution I want to use, actually. These 2 beings move. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And you are just going to remove a blight somewhere. So 1 damage per blight in target land, and then if it's a desert or a sand, also remove a thing. It doesn't look to me like there's anywhere where we can actually make use of the... you know what, right here, we could kill a town with 2 damage, and then remove a blight. That'll give me another fear, because we blew up that town. Yeah, that's not too bad. Purifying flame that leaks forth from the wetlands onto this beach. Try not to think too hard about what that might look like. You know, again, it would not even be the most magical thing that's happened on the island today. So, we have a new growth phase here. There's a non-zero chance that we lose the game this turn. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Before the end of the turn, obviously we fire Never Heard From Again. We had an orange and 3 green. So we would have added a Badlands, and obviously we have to do it here, or we're gonna die. So we add a Badlands token, and then we do 1 damage per... Sorry, we destroy up to 2 explorers per thing, and then we don't actually have the... Shoot. Yeah, we don't actually have any damage. So no, we totally don't do it here. We do it somewhere where there's explorers. There really aren't explorers anywhere. I guess we do it, like... here, then? Just put Badlands tokens somewhere? It has to be somewhere where yellow has presence. So, here. Yeah, we activate that power, but it doesn't actually do that much, because we never managed to get our, never quite managed to get our elements right. Okay, growth. We do not need a reclaim. What we need to do is place this piece of, I think, this piece of presence. So do we want to do it in such a way that we gain energy? No, probably not. It's probably gain a power, gain some presence. So we want to get a miner, maybe? a minor mostly is something to forget later, or like we already have something that we kind of want to forget. I guess show me a major. Let's see if we can maybe dig up something amazing. Okay, manifest. Manifest is fun. Accelerated rot. 2 fear, 4 damage in a jungle or wetland. We don't have these thresholds, but that's an interesting card. Without the thresholds, like, it's still pretty good. Tigers hunting in a land that is not blighted, near a jungle. Make beasts, and then do beast stuff. And also, 1 damage in an adjacent land without blight, and +1 damage for a beast there. So you gather some beasts, you do some damage in one place, you push them to another place, and then they do some additional damage in that place. That's pretty cool. Manifest is great, although we don't have a lot of chance of triggering the back half. It's just very good on its face. And Twisted Flowers Murmur Ultimatums. Or Fear adds Strife. If terror level is 2 or higher, remove 2 invaders. Wow. Wow, what a great card. Holy crap, that's a good card for us. Okay, so we're going to take that guy. Sadly, there's a non-zero chance we don't even make it to the slow phase this turn. So we gotta place this presence within 1 range, which actually means 2 range. And we gotta remember at the beginning of the Blighted Island phase, we're gonna lose a presence from the board, so this might just be a dummy presence so that we don't lose anything important. Ravages this turn are jungle. Guess we'll put you here. Probably we remove one of those 2. And then, I mean, we may as well finish playing out your spirit phase. Go to 7. We could actually... No, we can't. We need 1 more turn before we're going to be able to generate 4 Earth. Because we need to either pick this up or pick up a 4th card play. So never mind, we can't use this to clear Blight. Could we make Twisted Flowers, the back half of Twisted Flowers, happen? We totally have the white and purple and green to do that. So if we could set up a situation here where we can survive to the end of the turn, we can survive this turn's Ravages, this can really help us survive next turn's Ravages. How far are we from a fear card? We are a single fear away, in fact. Okay. Where are the Ravages that are a problem? This jungle's fine. This jungle can be made fine very easily. This jungle can have people teleported out of it, potentially, as can this one. And in fact, we're going to have to do that in order to not lose, probably. Clear that these are all in here. Yeah, moving people between your lands is going to be real important this turn. So we might actually be able to survive. Alright, if we want to activate the second half of Twisted Flowers, we have to play 3 of these 4 cards, because we need the 3 green symbols, and we can't play Infinite Vitality because we can't afford it. So I guess these are my card plays. If we do that, where are we at on laying paths? We have the second line of it, which is not as much as I would like. We do also have a defend 3 in target jungle. I think this has got to be the plan. Okay. Then over here, for growth, should we reclaim? This might be a good time for it, right? Get a red symbol off of taking this. A third card play would help us so much, and that's 2 turns away at best. But, like, we're going to have to reclaim this turn or next turn, so that's 3 turns away no matter what, actually. I think we do a reclaim. So reclaim and gain for one half of our thing, and then for the other half, do we take a symbol and also some energy and play... If we take a symbol and some energy, we can have 4 green. Then we play this for our red symbol. We can actually make Never Heard From Again go off like really big. I think that's probably what we have to do. So this was our first growth, this is our second growth. We will take a green symbol for the turn, please. And then we'll take our income, and we play, for our 2 cards, these 2. Swallowed by the Wilderness is going to let me blow some stuff up early on. Does it let me do enough? I can destroy some of these things before... Like, the fact that it works in the area where we need to kill things this turn is actually, like, super relevant. That's a big deal. So if we do that, then I know, once again, I've given myself no forsakes, but we have a really good Never Heard From Again, and yeah, I think this is what we gotta do. Gosh, I wish I had another moon symbol. Not so much that I would want to give up the 4th green, though. Alright, I think that's it. Also another card play. Card plays would be real good. Alright, let's do our fast phase stuff. So, first of all, this guy, Swallowed by the Wilderness. Very, very important. 2 fear, and then 1 damage per token. I'm going to do 2 fear. And then we're going to do damage, damage, damage. Thank you, Badlands token. Gives us another 3 fear. So, we're not there yet, but we're working on it. Then we have some fast phase over here. Dark and Tangled Woods is going to give us... What's the target for this? That is the target for this. Yeah. Right, within 1 range? Yep, okay. So 2 more fear. And that stays right there. Just mark this to remember I put up a defense here. Defense 3. Yeah. Then your slow phase and your slow phase. And then innate powers, we only get to move 1 thing, which is actually pretty grim. Yeah, I needed a blue symbol this turn. Only had access to 1 blue card, though, and it was not the right card. So we will move... But we gotta get real lucky with this, huh? I think we have to consign ourselves to the fact that this is happening and just move this city out to the wetlands trap, where we will hopefully be able to blow it up later. And then it's not impossible that this could fail to ravage, right? We could get lucky with our fear or something. That's really all we can do. If we make it to the end of the turn, again, we're going to have a really big slow phase, and then that's going to make it for a much easier next turn, and hopefully we can start recovering from there. I think that's it. That's our whole fast phase, so things better go. Now, each spirit destroys 1 of their presence. This is kind of a cheat, because we can take, like, this presence, which would just get blighted anyway. And then yellow, unfortunately, is not in such an easy spot. I think yellow loses this one, because we don't want to not have presence in this desert. We're using this desert, and we're about to lose a presence here, probably. It's going to be real bad. Stupid Blighted Island card. Then Fear card. Sorry, then Event. Alright, we are in stage 2 of the evasion. Fortification. After advancing Invader cards, invaders build in one terrain not shown under any Invader action. That's crummy, but it doesn't affect us right now. Then beasts attack. Each beast deals 2 damage. Remove any token that destroys a town or a city. Oh my god. The beasts totally save us. Each beast deals 2 damage, and then the Badlands deal the 3rd point of damage to each of the cities. And then each of these beasts gets murdered, because it totally destroyed a token. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not sure how that works. Because it's actually the Badlands that deal the final damage. You know what? I think those beasts survive. I'm going to say those beasts survive. They did such good work for us, I'm willing to interpret the rules in a way that helped them. And that's 4 more fear for 2 dead cities. Then add 1 Dahan to a mountain or sands with a Dahan on each board. Let's go here on this board, I think. Mountain or sands with a Dahan over here. This side, I think. Because over here, we're going to have an easier time getting rid of that town. That was a really good event. It is going to cause us to have 10,000 buildings on the board at the end of the turn, but it got us, probably got us through the ravage. Okay, terror level 2. Overseas trade seems safer. Defend 6 in all coastal lands. Invaders do not build in coastal lands. Okay, interesting. Hold on a second, we might want to pull that one out so we remember the effect later on in the turn. Each player may replace 1 town with an explorer in a coastal land. It turns out trade actually suffers. It seemed safer. It wasn't actually safer. Okay, so a town becomes an explorer. I think we both want to do that on this board, because here, like, this town doesn't matter quite so much. Yeah, mountains aren't even represented in the thing. Do we both do it here? Maybe. We have a defend effect here, so this Dahan's going to destroy this town anyway. I think we both do it here. Those 2 towns are downgraded to explorers on account of the dangerous sea trade. Whether this represents the towns becoming so destitute, or whether they got pirated, or what, it's up to you to interpret. Defend 6 in all coastal lands is definitely not super relevant. Yeah. But the no building thing totally might be. Alright, so that's all the fear cards. We don't have the extra build, hooray. Ravage time. So no ravage. Here, all the damage is defended, and then they lose a guy. Generating lots and lots of fear this turn. And here, it's such a ravage. It's such an incredible ravage. There's 5 blight left on the card. Then a build. Wetlands. There's no build here, so it doesn't even trigger that to get rid of it. But they do build here, and here, and here. Is a shame. And then explore coastal lands. That is a crying shame too, because if we had just played this next turn, invaders do not build in coastal lands would have been really, really great. Alright, so they explore coastal lands. I guess it could be a lot worse. The invasion reaches phase 3. There are 5 cards remaining. Also, 7 fear cards, but one of them is the terror level 3 changeover, so it's actually only 6. I mean, we're hanging on. We made it to that slow phase. So, we have a powerful slow phase. Let's see if we can't actually pull this out somehow. So we have Paths Tied by Nature. We have Twisted Flowers. we get to remove 2 invaders within 1 range of our sacred site, which is pretty good because we're going to have a build and then a ravage here, and we got stuff's got to start changing. Can we move any of yellow's presence over to here or here, I wonder? Move up to 2 beings from target land to a land within 2 range that has the same terrain, but actually 3 range. So if we targeted here, could grab his presence and move it to there. That still lets me do vines to here if I want to, but it also means I can do vines to right here, which I think is what we really are after. It's a shame that I can't use my beings thing to move the wilds tokens around. Right? Beings are, yeah. Beasts are the only tokens that count as beings. Alright, let's do that. Paths Tied by Nature needs to get yellow presence into this desert because we have to start doing some damage in this desert. Then, now that yellow has presence over here, we can start to do some of this fun stuff. So, first things first, let's add the Badlands token. Let's play Never Heard From Again on this tile. So, add a Badlands token. We totally have the symbols for that. Then, destroy up to 2 explorers per token that's in the space. That's the only token in the space, but hey, destroying 2 explorers is pretty cool. And that generates a fear. Right, if this power destroys any explorers, get a fear. If it destroys 4 or more, get even more fear. Then we do in fact have 4 and 1, so we get to do 2 damage, which we do to one of the cities, and then the Badlands finishes it off. So that's another 2 fear. Helpful. And we do have a pretty powerful Strangling Firevine here, which is totally going to kill... Yeah, it's totally going to do enough damage to kill the city. In fact, it's going to overkill a little bit. And then here I can start instead clearing stuff out of that jungle tile, that horrible jungle tile, or we can start clearing things out of these wetlands. Like, this is a big deal. The northern part of the island got cleared up a lot here. So let's go ahead and do Strangling Firevine while we're looking at it. I'm going to destroy the rest of the explorers. Then add a wilds, and then add a wilds in the originating sands. The wilds is 8. Then we do 2 damage to the city, which is killed by the Badlands, and that gets me another 2 fear. And then we get to do 2 more damage, but there's nothing left to take damage. It's pretty good overall. Okay, and then also we have tokens around, which just makes our lives a lot easier in a broad variety of ways. And for red slow phase, we have 4 fear, add a strife, remove 2 invaders, and then plus 3 more fear, and also 3 damage. So it's going to be Wetland Ravage. Yeah, so we kind of have to do it here, right? So I've already forgotten. It's 1 strife, then remove 2 invaders, then deal 3 damage. So we're going to remove 2 invaders, and then the 3 damage is going to be 1 to this town and 2 to this city. And the Badlands token finishes them both off. Because if we do it that way, we get 3 fear for the destructions. And then on top of that, we get an additional 7 fear. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Terror level is 3. There's still 4 cards in the deck. There's only 5 blight left on the thing, but we have 2 fear cards in the bank for next turn. That's a big deal. And then... do we have anything else? The Strife token would have been played on an Invader. I didn't bother dealing it out because once all the Invaders are gone, like, the Invader that dies with the token takes the token with it. And then no, I think that's our whole slow phase. So like I said, it was a pretty big one. We got a lot of things done. We cleared up a lot of space. We dealt with one of the big traps. I feel like the thing that I envisioned happening between these two is finally gelling, which is just great. Okay, so, I guess time passes. To be clear, this is still bad. We're not, like, fine or anything. Alright, let's growth phase. So, we cannot deal with that wetland in the corner in any way, can we? We can throw defend 1 on it. But that's literally all you can do it fast. So blight, blight, double blight from a cascade would bring us very close to death. But sadly, there's just not a lot we can do. Alright, so for your growth, you're going to add a presence inland. And then also... oh, this symbol is also gone. Gain 2 energy and a symbol doesn't feel as important this turn. This might be a turn where Lure of the Deep Wilderness just doesn't really do anything fast phase. We just kind of take our lumps on the blight, except where the Pathfinder can fix it. We could gain a power card now, though. Maybe find a fast card that will do something. I think I'm interested in looking at some majors. And I think I'm willing to forget Softly Beckon Ever Inward. It's not a bad idea, it's just not really doing it. Yeah, okay, so let's look at a major card before we decide where our presence goes. Flow like water, reach like air, only costs 2. Target spirit gets +2 range with all powers, may push one of their presence to an adjacent land. Ooh, wow. Bringing explorers and towns and Dahan with it. And also potentially cities in Blight. That's actually really interesting. Getting to move presence and towns around at fast speed could be really powerful. Vigor of the Breaking Dawn just causes Dahan to do damage at fast speed. That is also potentially interesting. Where are there Dahan in the wetlands that we're looking at? There are... here there's 1. 2 damage is not enough, but what if we were able to move some Dahan? Let's see. Fast speed. We have that. We have this... no, wait. No, we do not have the move Dahan power with this guy. It's in the graveyard. We could reclaim. I don't really want to, but we could. If we did that, then Vigor of the Breaking Dawn is potentially very, very, very good. Fire and Flood hits 2 lands within 1 and 2 of a sacred site for 4 damage, potentially a lot more. We could make the 3 orange thing happen. So 8 damage in 1 land, 4 damage in another. I mean, that's actually really great. It's hard to cast, but Yeah, the thing is, it's really hard to cast. Really, really, really. I think I'm going to take Vigor of the Breaking Dawn. Or Flow Like Water, Reach Like Air. Moving presence around at fast speed is pretty cool. Somebody's got to be able to relocate our presence. We have one thing that does it, and I always feel like I wish I was drawing that thing. But also, fast speed damage. Very tough. Yeah, let's take Flow. Sorry, I am deep in the analysis paralysis now, man. Board state's too complicated for me to be able to read anymore. We're ravaging wetlands now and then coastal lands next turn, so this has to get cleaned up right now. And we don't really have a way of doing it. The Dahan would be super helpful if we could actually get some Dahan in here to do something, like... So let's move Dahan afterward. Yeah, we actually are going to have to do a reclaim here. So you know what? I'm going to take the Dahan thing for yellow, because I think we may actually play that move Dahan card with red, and that'll put us in a good spot. Then you get to place a presence somewhere. Maybe here, actually. If we can prevent the flood... Oh, no, that's right. Sorry, your presence can... Actually, that means that I cheated in a way that might not be recoverable because yellow's presence could never be in this space, huh? Well, boy, that would be a tough thing to unwind. Okay, I'm going to make an executive decision here. I think it's very likely that we're still going to lose here. There's just too much blight everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and call it in favor of the invaders on this one, because I don't want to go back and spend another hour trying to undo this and then replay the game forward from there. This has gotten very, very long as it is. I think they got us on this one, and then I cheated. Oops. In the interest of fair play and sportsmanship, the spirits concede. The colonists can have this particular cursed little island. So that is going to be it for us for this episode. That one was grueling. I maybe need to take the difficulty down a little bit. Or maybe actually this is exactly where it ought to be. I don't know. Like I said, we're going to play one more, so I'm going to think about that a little bit. But for right now, that's going to be it for us for the moment. Thank you all so much for watching. Come back in a couple of hours for one more of these, and we'll see you then.